This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You're watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
Alright everyone, I hope you're all doing fantastic, enjoying your day, whatever it is you're doing, nearly the weekend, gotta be happy about that, right? Anyway, new to the channel, click that subscribe button, turn it from red to grey, make a little game of it, it's free, you're gonna love it over here. Now, in this video, we're gonna talk about a lot of facts. Nobody knows the facts, and I challenge anybody to say anything that I say in this video that is not a fact, and please try and back it up, okay? Now, Lennox Lewis and Anthony Joshua, okay? For whatever reason, Lennox Lewis doesn't particularly agree with a lot of the things that Joshua is doing. Okay, that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Now, growing up, Lennox Lewis was probably one of my favourite fighters, okay? I watched him take losses to Hasim Rahman, Oliver McCall, and of course get a controversial draw, which he should have won against Evander Holyfield, and he avenged all of those fights. Now, Anna Woolhouse interviewing Anthony Joshua on Sky Sports. The full interview will be aired on demand around 6 p.m. tonight. So at the minute, we've got like a little teaser clipping, and this is what this video is going to be about. And as I said, we're going to be talking about a lot of facts, because Anna Woolhouse is talking to Joshua, and she mentions Lennox Lewis in the fact of a legacy where he lost 2 fights, got a draw, and avenged all of them. Because Anthony Joshua, of course, lost to Andy Ruiz Jr, looking to avenge. Okay, so she's comparing it. Anthony Joshua pretty much cuts her off, or at least according to this clip, because they may have edited it quite well. We've seen it before. But he says, Lennox Lewis is a clown. I have no respect for Lennox Lewis. And he talks about different styles of legacy. How Anthony Joshua, his legacy will be, he will help the youngsters come through, and he will support them come through, and not keep beating them down like Lennox Lewis does, with Anthony Joshua, incidentally. Bear in mind, they're both Brits, right? Now, what Anthony Joshua is getting at is the fact that it's the whole beef and the whole why the fight didn't happen between Joshua and Wilder for Undisputed, okay? Where Lennox Lewis keeps on blaming Anthony Joshua. Why? And Lennox Lewis's original argument was, well, because I sat down with Deontay Wilder and Deontay Wilder told me. So, what he's admitted here is that Lennox Lewis only got one half of the story, okay? Now, here's the facts. Now, Lennox Lewis, he thinks that Joshua and Wilder should have had this fight with Undisputed, and he blamed Anthony Joshua for it on several occasions. And not once did he criticise the negotiations of Team Wilder. Because initially, you've got Deontay Wilder, he's calling out Anthony Joshua, he's scared, he don't want to fight me, he don't want to come to the UK, he doesn't want to come to America, he's a UK champion, and blah, 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 blah. Even though Wilder himself has never travelled outside of America to defend his title, okay? Again, that's a fact. So, Anthony Joshua, he said, right, okay, fine, let's fight, and I'll put in an offer. Because Wilder's whole thing was, well, when a champ calls you out, you step up. It's not about money. It's all about legacy, blah, blah, blah. Wilder's consistently said, I don't care about money. I just want a fight. I want one face, one name, one champion, etc. All that kind of palaver that he does, which is fine, except for the fact he wasn't serious. Okay, because when Joshua went, okay, fine, let's do this. Even though I've been the one going around belt collecting, it's such a short period of time. In half the fights and what you haven't had not one unification fight yet. You fought absolutely nobody, yeah, I'm the one clearing up the division while you're stood there in the shadows. Okay, that's fine, okay, I've collected all the belts, you've got one remaining one, let's get it on. Now, up to this point, Deontay Wilder's highest payday was $2.1 million against Luis Ortiz. Again, Deontay Wilder said Luis Ortiz is a tougher, harder fight for him than what Anthony Joshua would be. So in other words, Luis Ortiz is more risk. So he's quite willing to take a more risky fight for $2.1 million, but yet declines $12.5 million for Undisputed. Do you understand the point on this one? Now, of course, this is all before Tyson Fury. So Joshua, he went back to the table, said, okay, fine, $15 million. So what's that? 7 times more money what Wilder's ever made for any one single fight. And it's for Undisputed, legacy defining, okay? Wilder ignored it for the longest time. He went back with a counter offer because Joshua said, give me 50 million, no problem, and we'll fight. Wilder come back with 50 million offer, again, all fact, where Well, I say offer, he put it up on Instagram and sent an email. I think Wilder sent an email, not his team, not his management, not his promotional company, those who actually have the money, whether it be Showtime, whether it be the PBC. No. Wilder, 50 million, the money's in the bag. This is his whole way of negotiating, okay? So Joshua says, okay, fine, I did say 50 million, cool. Show me the money. Show me the proof. Where's it going to be? What's the terms? What's the contract? Team Wilder, factually, as in Shelley Finkel, who manages Deontay Wilder, said, no, we're not having a meeting and you're not having any kind of terms unless you agree. Now, anybody who knows, in the state of New York, if you verbally agree something, then it's legally binding. Okay, so if Joshua went, yeah, okay, then Team Wilder could do anything that they want in that contract. Anything that they want. They could make Joshua wear a tutu to the ring, okay? Anything that they want. Or Joshua was, listen, I'm happy with the 50 million, no problem. But what about the rest of it? Okay, don't forget, I've got some legal obligations myself. I've got sponsors and things like that. I must fight on Sky Sports because a fight with Wilder is a voluntary. And where Joshua's doing voluntary, he must fight on Sky Sports. Okay? But as it turned out, the money was coming from BT Sport, the one platform that he can't fight on. We know this because, again, Frank Warren said this. Okay, I know we're covering old ground for a lot of people, but not everybody knows this. So, in effect, the 50 million was a dead herring, wasn't it? It just wasn't real. So, things got out of control. Eventually, Wilder said, okay, fine, I'll take the 15 million and I'll come to the UK. Again, Shelley Finkel said this, even though he later denied that he said this. But yeah, there's proof out there that he did say this, right? Anyway, he said, okay, fine, I'll come to the UK, 15 million, no problem. So what happened? Eddie Hearn sends him a contract. They refused to sign it because there's no date and no venue. Bearing in mind, when Deontay Wilder, he signed up to fight Tyson Fury, for the longest time, no date, no venue. And these kind of things happen all the time. You see, it's two phases, one rule for one, another rule for another one, okay? But either way, he said, I ain't signing this. Because these guys have been negotiating for the best part of 3 months. Now, I'm not saying that Team Joshua and Eddie Hearn couldn't have done a better job of it. I'm not saying that at all. But the fact is that he agreed to the 15 million. He said, send the contract over. So they sent the contract over. And then they were refusing it. At this point, the WBA, who's been waiting for their mandatory, who happened to be Alexander Povetkin, was starting to get the ump. Because they kept saying to Eddie Hearn, is this undisputed fight going to happen? Is it going to happen? Yeah, it's going to happen. Give us another week. Give us another 2 weeks. Give us another 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it may be. And Eddie Hearn kept putting off the WBA all time and time again. Because Wilder refused to sign the offer, the WBA went, no, okay, right, well, that's it. We're pulling the plug on this one. Wilder's not interested. We're going to pull the plug on it. You're going to go fight Povetkin now. Okay, again, fact. Okay, so that whole thing fell apart. Now, up to that point, Lennox Lewis was saying, well, Anthony Joshua, he should have done more. He should have took the 50 million. As I said to you, the 50 million wasn't real. For whatever reason, Lennox Lewis can't get that through his head. The 50 million wasn't real. But at no point did he criticise Wilder for not taking the 15 million flat fee. Because Lennox Lewis, he started off by saying, well, Joshua's got 3 belts. Wilder's got 1, so cut it up like that. In other words, 25% Wilder, 75% Joshua. So, as time goes on, Lennox Lewis then says, well, maybe Wilder should get 30%. Maybe Wilder should get 40%. Maybe Wilder should get 50%. See, Lewis kept changing all the time. Always criticising Joshua, never criticising Wilder. Bearing in mind, when Lennox Lewis fought Evander Holyfield, he took a flat fee of $10 million. Back then, the money that was flying around boxing, especially for heavyweights in America, is what it is now. So he actually took less money to fight Evander Holyfield than what Wilder was offered. And even now, Wilder hasn't earned more than 15 million for one fight. Not against Tyson Fury, not against Brazil, not against anyone. Okay? So he turned down legacy-defining money and, more importantly, legacy-defining fight. That's a fact. He turned down. So Joshua goes and fights Povetkin, etc., etc. Now, Wilder, Finkel, Wilder's fans, they kept talking about how they wanted the fight to be at Wembley, which is in front of 90,000. When Joshua was saying, but the fight will be at Cardiff, at the Principality Stadium, which is in front of 80,000, Wilder and that, this was one of the reasons why they didn't sign it, which is one of the reasons why they're saying, but we wanted Wembley and you're offering us this. Now, the only date that Wembley was available was September the 22nd, okay, of last year. That was the only date that Wembley was available, which happened to be the date that Joshua took on Povetkin, right? But the reason why they couldn't offer Wilder that date is because Wilder's own platform, Showtime, said, no, we ain't showing a fight on that one because 1 week before that, you got Triple G and Canelo, the rematch. A lot of people will spend their money on that pay-per-view rather than this one. So we need to change it to another date. The only other date was last week of October, first week of November. And it had to be at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, Wales. That's the only time that either stadium was available. So again, there's that one, but Wilder fans keep saying about Wembley. They fought Povetkin, why didn't they fight me? Again, your guy, Stephen Espinoza, said, we ain't doing it on that date. Okay, again, so we cut that one down. In addition to that, since then, so Joshua, he fought Povetkin, etc. Joshua, DAZN, offered Wilder $120 million. Yet Wilder's fans and Wilder keeps talking about how Joshua turned down 50 million. Now, had the 50 million been real, that wasn't even double what Joshua was already earning. Joshua was already earning, as far as dollars goes, you're talking 25 to 30 million anyway. So it was there or thereabouts double, okay? But for Wilder offered 7 times his highest payday. So weighed up like that. But then this new offer comes through from DAZN to get Wilder, say, right, okay, so Wilder, you're going to be fighting Dominic Brazil next anyway. So why don't you have that fight on DAZN, and here's 20 million for it. Again, way over double than what he earned for even fighting Tyson Fury. He didn't want that. And then another 100 million for back-to-back fights, guaranteed rematch with Anthony Joshua for 100 million directly wired into his account. Wilder said no to $100 million. And I said, the same fans who were criticising Joshua for turning down 50 million don't say a peep to Wilder about turning down 100 million. And more importantly, Lennox Lewis didn't say anything either. And that's what the whole thing is the fact that Lennox Lewis is criticising Joshua for not doing this and not doing that, but hasn't once criticised Wilder. At what point did Lennox Lewis say to Wilder, hang on a minute, you've just turned down $100 million to have 2 fights with Joshua. Win, lose or draw in the first fight, you're going to get Joshua again. Both fights were undisputed. You've got 2 bites at the cherry. If you beat Joshua in the first one, you get a rematch. If you lose to Joshua in the first one, you get a rematch anyway. You go in there the first round, get smoothed out. 50 million, no problem. And you got a rematch. But Lennox Lewis didn't say not one word. And a lot of people are saying, but it sounds like Lennox Lewis is on the payroll of the PBC. As it turned out, a few weeks later, after a lot of this, Lennox Lewis signs up with the PBC, didn't he? With being a commentator for Fox Sport. So this is why Anthony Joshua is calling Lennox Lewis a clown. With the fact that Lennox Lewis is criticising his own countryman. But not once did he criticise Wilder for saying, you guys had an offer of 15 million, which is more than what I had when I fought Holyfield. You turn it down and you play games over this whole arena and location. But that's standard procedure anyway. You agree the terms and then you get the date and the venue sorted out. Okay? That's pretty obvious, right? Lennox Lewis didn't say not one word. Wilder gets offered 100 million back-to-back fights. Lennox Lewis didn't say not one word about it, but yet criticises Joshua, saying Joshua is the one who avoided Wilder. Which is weird, isn't it? Now, Lennox Lewis is the last heavyweight undisputed champion. Okay, so he deserves a lot of respect for what he's done in his boxing career. But he took shortcuts, okay? He didn't make the best offers in the world, and there were certain fights that he didn't take that he could have took. Okay, but the fact is, again, Lennox Lewis was undisputed with 3 titles: IBF, WBC, WBA. And they called him undisputed. Joshua also had 3 titles. So he had the same amount of titles as Lennox Lewis. In how many fights? In 21 fights. Anthony Joshua had the same amount of belts as Lennox Lewis. But yet, Joshua's been having it easy, apparently. Again, this is something else that Lennox Lewis said. Joshua's been having it easy. He's been fighting an old man sat on the sofa for 18 months in Vladimir Klitschko. Not mentioning the fact that Vladimir Klitschko, yes, of course, he was, 40, 41 years old, that's fine, and he did lose to Tyson Fury, but he went through 3 training camps before he fought Anthony Joshua, because he had 2 fights failed. With Tyson Fury rematch, then he was supposed to fight Joshua. Klitschko got injured, which is why Molina replaced Klitschko before it was even announced. And then, of course, he had his full training camp and the fight happened with Joshua. Bear in mind, this was Joshua's 19th professional fight and already a unification fight for a vacant WBA title compared to the IBF that he already had, that he won on his 16th fight. So everything that Joshua's done is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. At this level, even now, with Joshua having 23 fights, yes, he's got a loss, but even now, Lennox Lewis was still British champion. He wasn't knocking on the door of no world title, but yet Joshua has been having it easy, apparently. Okay, so if Joshua's been having it easy, what about Wilder? Look at his resume. Even now, he hasn't fought anybody credible. People can say, well, Luis Ortiz. Well, Luis Ortiz, Luis Ortiz is older than Povetkin. And Povetkin is already a former world champion. Luis Ortiz never has been. So when you compare Luis Ortiz and Alexander Povetkin, Povetkin stands head and shoulders above Luis Ortiz. But yeah, people were criticising Joshua for fighting Povetkin, but not criticising Wilder for fighting Ortiz. Tyson Fury was out the ring for 3 years. And people want to talk about 18-month Vladimir Klitschko, who was always in shape and always in the gym. Tyson Fury weren't, and Tyson Fury went to the backyard of Wilder. And look what he'd done. And they had to screw Tyson Fury out of that victory. Even Lennox Lewis said, Tyson Fury won that fight. But anyway, it is what it is. So again, Lennox Lewis has said his latest ones is the fact that the rematch with Andy Ruiz, well, Anthony Joshua should go and fight Andy Ruiz in Mexico. Okay, so when Lennox Lewis, when he lost to Oliver McCall in London, did he rematch him in London? No, he didn't, did he? He went to America and rematched him. When Lennox Lewis lost to Hasim Rahman in South Africa, did he go back to South Africa? No, he didn't. He went to America. Again, Lennox Lewis very, very familiar with America. Okay, people have to remember he spent a long time in America. And with Evander Holyfield, both fights in America. So at no point did Lennox Lewis go off and correct the wrong of where it went wrong. But yet he's saying Joshua should go do this. But yet he never says Wilder should go do this and Wilder should do that. The heavyweight division is popping and the heavyweight division is talked about a lot because of Anthony Joshua. Whether you like him or whether you don't, whether you rate him, whether you don't. Fact is, the heavyweight division is talked about and there's a lot of money flying around right now because of Anthony Joshua. And Lennox Lewis is just a hater and he is bitter and he is jealous. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Because Anthony Joshua is earning more money now than what Lennox Lewis ever was. And he's achieved a hell of a lot more than what Lennox Lewis did at this stage of his career. Anyway, that's what's going on. Anthony Joshua calls Lennox Lewis a clown and he has no respect for him. Drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all on the next one.